Hello, everybody. It's your boy Just Said G alongside Alec Foster. Another episode of Section.300. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. And we're getting close to football season. NFL season's almost here. And we had to bring somebody in that knows a whole lot about the game. And we're welcomed today by former NFL coach Hue Jackson. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Hey, Garrett, thank you for having me. You and Alec, I really appreciate being on you guys' show today. Obviously, your dad is a long-time teammate of mine, and what a great man he is. So there's nothing like having a chance to come and be interviewed by his son.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. I got the question. I definitely got a few questions.
Boy.
I need some verification.
Pigs,
I need some verification because he's talked some big game in the past. So we're going to let you verify on that. Before we go there, though, actually, I talked about the NFL and things. And first things first, me and Alec have talked a whole lot about all the stuff going on recently. And something that's been torn on right now is Cam Newton signing with the Patriots. I'm a big Cam Newton fan, but not much of a Patriots fan. And seeing him sign there has me torn a little bit. And you being the expert that you are, I'd love to get your insight on what you think about that signing.
Well, I think it's a tremendous opportunity for Cam. He's going to a winner. First and foremost, they've won a lot of Super Bowls. The coaches have been really successful. So obviously they have a very successful system. And I think Cam, and he shouldn't need to, but he's having to rebrand himself a little bit, and here was one of the league's top quarterbacks and he gets injured. And so now people saying, who's Cam Newton? Well, they're going to find out real soon who Cam Newton is, because if he's healthy, he's as good as anybody playing, and that's the key. And I'm sure just understanding the Patriots way, they'll do everything they can to make him successful, but they have a successful way that they do things, and hopefully it fits in.
Yeah, and he's a former MVP as well too, so that's a great get for Bill Belichick and the Patriots. We've seen how recently in the NFL, it's a quarterback league, and largely the premier players in the league have been black quarterbacks in the most recent couple of years, with Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott. There's a bunch of them. Yeah.
Name the whole league. Yes, sir.
Well, it's exciting to hear that, because this is the first time that we can honestly say that the minority quarterbacks are at the top of the class in 2020. Now, take nothing away from Tom Brady and his accomplishments and everything he did, because he fits right in there with anybody. But that being said, after you talk about him, every guy you just mentioned, you better talk about them 10 times, because they're playing great football.
Definitely. And you were a quarterback yourself, playing at Dorsey High School and at ULP as well, and definitely had great moments there. And now looking at how you playing in the past and seeing how the game has transformed to now, you kind of already alluded to it, but what do you think about just how the perception of the black quarterback has evolved over the years?
Oh, wow. It's really changed. And again, there's guys like, when you think of Doug Williams, when you think of Shaq Harris, Joe Gilliam, those are all the guys that paved the way for these young quarterbacks that are playing now, and I can't take anything away from the Michael Vicks, the Randall Cunninghams of the world, because those guys were great players. But if you look now, people would say one or two of those guys were good players when they played. Now you just rattled off 5 guys playing at a high level. So that tells you that that's changed, and now we're talking about that more, about the year and the hopefully the century of the minority quarterback and what they mean to pro football. We just got to get it to start saying that about coaches as well. Maybe that'll help some things out.
Right. And actually, I'll jump there. That's something I want to bring up as well. Seeing the things that have taken place recently, there have been talks about updating the Rooney Rule and things of that nature. You have someone who's been in the league for a long time. You've been able to find various jobs throughout that. However, it seems to be it's been hard for many others to do so. What do you think about the potential change to the Rooney Rule? They're talking about making more expensive, like a 3rd-round pick or something for hiring minority head coaches and things of that nature. So seeing how things have changed, what do you think about how the NFL is trying to adapt right now?
Well, the Rooney Rule is definitely changing. There's no doubt about it. They're trying to revamp that to make it stronger and better. And obviously they need to, because it has not bear the results that everybody wants, So it was a great start. It came from a great place. Now they need to transition to a more intentional way of making sure that minorities get opportunities. It's been very hard, and I've been fortunate and blessed to have an opportunity to do it twice. But there's only been 19 minority head coaches in the 100-year history of the league.
Not enough.
Crazy.
Yeah, and we know what the numbers are now. I mean, there's 3, and there's Ron Rivera, and then there's 2 quarterback coaches, there are 2 GMs, there's no ownership. So when you look at it, we know why it's that way. But I get disappointed because I think people still got to really dig down into all these things to find where the true answer is. Everybody think it's on the surface. It's not, because minorities in coaching, if you really look at it, is not normal. Look across the league. I mean, it was 46 years until the first minority player was drafted into the National Football League. It was 60 years before there was a coach, a minority coach, so it goes on and on and on. So I don't think people get that. First, we have to understand that this was not normal way back then when they put this league together. It wasn't normal for minorities to be out in front and in charge. And so you have to understand that first before you start understanding how to fix it.
Definitely. And we're continuing to knock those down. Definitely.
Because there's so many few African-American head coaches in the NFL, did you feel like an extra level of pressure sitting in that head coaching seat?
No, absolutely. You're carrying your brethren on your shoulders, and I think we all recognize that and understand that. And so you try to bring them along with you, which I did with Ray Horton and my man Pat Hamilton and Kirby Wilson. But in order for those guys to spread off, you got to have success.
Definitely.
You got to be in a situation where you're winning. If you're not winning, it's harder. And you're probably making it hard for the next minority candidate because that's what people know and see. But that's not how it should be.
And yeah, that's definitely something that we need to continue to keep our eyes on. And I hope that the NFL definitely does try to continue adding more minority coaches into that. Also, as we now kind of turn more towards the field, we have seen in recent years with the Kaepernick situation and things that have gone on since then that they kind of pushed him away at first. But now the league as a whole is starting to do a 180 and are starting to embrace that movement. You've talked about just on the coaching side about trying to accept more coaches, just as players and as Black men beyond the field. And that, what do you think about the NFL's response to all things that have taken place recently?
Well, I think the NFL, I'm not speaking for them, I'm not in meetings, but I think they need to do more. I think the players have shown them that there is a lot more that they can do across so many different platforms to make a difference in the social injustice that's going on. Obviously, Cap kneeled for a particular reason. I don't think people wanted to understand the reason at first, but it's shown itself to be true what he said. Issues were. And obviously, what happened to George Floyd is inexcusable. So, and Breonna Taylor and who's been dealing with this, Arbery, all those guys. I mean, it's difficult to talk about it because here we are in 2020 still talking about the same things we talked about years ago, with no change, and that's why I'm really about solutions. Let's find a solution. Let's quit talking about all this. We talk about a lot of stuff in public, but we all know change happens in private. That's where change really happens at. So we don't know. We get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. What's going to be the real change to make a difference from the league to the players, from the players, the conversations, the collaborations they have with the league. And then that's got to come down to the coaches too. Everybody has a role in making our world a better place, and we just all got to do our part.
Right.
Absolutely.
Kaepernick started kneeling in the 2016 season, and he had some support from some other players, but not a large backing, I would say. And so how do you feel about players like Baker Mayfield, like Kyler Murray, like Adrian Peterson now saying that they're definitely going to kneel now this year? Kind of doing a little bit of a heel turn.
Yeah, the whole league kneeling now, it seems like.
Well,
Yeah.
And Garrett said it seems like everybody's did a heel turn. You know, because I think it's shown out. We have now seen the injustice up close and personal. You know, you can't run from it anymore. Everybody has seen it and seen how many clips there was of it and how it happened. And I think to a man, everybody's disappointed and everybody wants change, you know. So everything he stood for, he said, he made it very well known. People didn't want to hear his voice that way. And he was trying to protest in a way that wasn't going to be
peacefully.
Yeah, he thought it was going to be very peaceful in doing it. And it ended up, you know, working for him. And hopefully he'll recover from this because I think people now see what it is he was trying to say.
Lastly, with him, do you think he'll get picked up by anybody? I mean, this is not something that was years ago. I mean, he's still trying to get back in the league potentially.
Right.
So
I think there's a chance.
People can.
If he really wants to play, I think there's a chance. I mean, he was a very talented player coming out, you know, and now what has happened over the last several years with him not playing, where is he, you know, at that particular point in time? I think people have to find that out. But is he talented enough to warrant an opportunity? There's no question about that.
Definitely. Now, keeping more focus on the field as well with that. First off, do you think we're even going to get a season this year? I mean, there's all this stuff with the coronavirus and all this going on. Other leagues that have bubbles and stuff going on, but the NFL is like, we're just going to go and figure it out.
You know, Garrett, I'm kind of torn. You know, I'm kind of, obviously I want sports, basketball, baseball, all of it. But at the same time, these players' lives and careers are in jeopardy, you know, because people just talk about the coronavirus. People don't really go into depth what it does to your body.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
We still don't fully know.
Yeah. And so, I mean, so what I'm saying to you is I think players would be risking their careers. Because if you get it and it attacks your body a different way, your career is over.
Right.
You know? And so then you got to think of your family and you got to think of everything and you got to think about who you could be passing it to.
Right.
So, and there's no vaccine, you know, so all those things are very scary to me. And every day it breaks out of somewhere that there's 2 players here or 5 players here. There's all these college players and all these people that have tested positive. So when we reopened the world, I hate to say it, what did they think was going to happen? You know, you're going to get more coronavirus, you know, and if you're not smart and don't do the recommended things that people are asking you to do to have a chance to stay away from it, we're only going to get more. It's going to get worse. It's not going to get better.
Exactly. So I really hope they figure it out. I personally am a big Ravens fan, so you know I kind of hope they figure out so my team can get back in it from last season. But yeah, we need to pay attention to the bigger picture. People kind of gloss over things at times. I hope they do.
We're not used to being told what to do that way. You know, this is the new normal for everybody. You know, and we're not used to that. You know, well, you need to stay in the house. Don't go anywhere. You know, don't speak to your friends. Don't.
Right.
Hard to do, and so you open it up and everybody runs back out and look what's happened. You know, what's happened just the way everybody says it was, that it was going to be another outbreak, and I'm concerned because there's supposed to be another spike in this stuff. You know, and so between September and November it's supposed to get worse. So my concern is, how do you play? You know, how do you put anybody, I don't care if it's just one player that got sick behind this? I mean, for what? You know, I mean, we're talking about life. You know, I know money and the economy is important, but not at the expense of people's health and their life.
Definitely.
Definitely. Jared and I have talked on previous podcasts that selfishly we'd love to see sports happen again, but like you're saying, health wise, it doesn't seem the smartest to rush back. I mean, the NFL too; those are large rosters. It's not like the NBA where you got 12 guys at the most. It's like 50 guys on the sideline. So. It's difficult.
Well, then you take the colleges; they have more than the NFL team.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so you just it just multiplies. You know, and so someone, in my opinion, it's one man's opinion. We need some leadership here. We need somebody to come lead us through this and what that's going to look like. You know, if it's not football now, how do we get America to understand? It's for the better reason not to have football right now, or whatever that is, because lives will make a difference. I just hope somebody doesn't get sacrificed in this. big time player, something happens and we go, oh boy, now we have to stop. I hope we make that decision before it ever gets to that.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of funny going this way, but I want to get your take though. I talked about my Ravens and how I'm excited for them still. If we do get a season, do you have? I know it's still kind of early, but do you have any predictions? Or you have teams that you're looking at? Like,
I watched the Ravens because I coached there, and
I know that.
it's a special place then, and it's a special place now. Obviously, Lamar Jackson's come in; he's lighting the league up. He's playing as good at his position as anybody in all the pro football, and he's giving them a chance to have some special times on the field. Can he take it to the next level like Patrick Mahomes? We'll see. Obviously, like I said, he's a talented player, but Patrick now has done the MVP, been the big time passer, and won a Super Bowl. So it doesn't get much better than that. But your Baltimore Ravens is definitely a team to watch, and now they're better on defense than they were a year ago. They just picked up Tanelis Campbell. Are you kidding me? They have all this talent that they just drafted on offense. Man, they're gonna be hell on wheels. But
I'm trying to stay calm, Coach. I see it too.
I'm gonna tell you right now, you get fired up because if Marvin Lewis was coaching that division, I would say something different. But John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin are two of the best coaches in that division, bar none. I've worked for John. I know what he brings to the table every week for his staff. And they're a well-coached football team, and they have very good talent. And they're in a tough division, so they're getting it done. Yeah.
And that was my next question. Actually, you talked about working for the Ravens, the Browns, Bengals. You've been all through that division. I need to know because I get riled up during games. How tense are those rivalries behind the scenes in the locker room? Are those AFC North games real tense?
Oh, yeah. No, they're very. That's like when I was in Baltimore, it's about beating Pittsburgh. That's just the way it was. When I was in Cincinnati, it's about beating everybody. We're trying to whoop them all. I mean, that's just the way it was. And so being in Cleveland, you're just a little brother to these teams. You're trying to steal one where you can because of the circumstances. But having worked in those three organizations, they're all great places. They're all different. Everybody has different vision and how they do things. But my time in Baltimore was awesome. My time in Cincinnati was amazing. So there are some good organizations there that you're talking about.
Yeah, and you mentioned, what did you say?
Go ahead, bro.
Okay. Yeah. You mentioned all the different places you coach, and I didn't realize over the past 33 years you coached at like 15 or 12 to 15 different organizations between college and pro. You coached at ASU, which we're former U of A alum, so we're rivals there.
It's all right, Coach. It's all right.
But between all those organizations and programs, who are some of the favorite players you've coached or coaches that you worked with as well that really rubbed off on you?
Well, when I think back to my college days, I would think about Steve Marici, who I worked for at Cal, John Robinson at USC. And then obviously when you think of Bruce Snyder, who was at Arizona State, when I think of those particular players, the great player I coached was Carson Palmer, who ended up being the first pick of the draft. I recruited him as well. When I think of, R.J. Soward, when he was at USC, he was a tremendous player, got in the National Football League a little bit, didn't stay very long, but he was very talented. We had Tony Gonzalez, who's a Hall of Famer, at Cal. Jake Plummer, who's at Arizona State. People that I coached that I'm still have a relationship with them today because I've watched those young men just ascend and become everything they could. It's really amazing. I'm going to pivot on here a little bit because people always say, Hugh, why did you go so many places? I had to. That's what people fail to realize. If I was ever going to become what I've become in this league, in the National Football League, you had to go get that experience and the opportunity to coach a quarterback. So I kept moving to chase it because I hate to say it, the minority coaches, we get kind of pigeonholed into spots. There's only 2 quarterback coaches and only 2 coordinators in all the pro. 2 coordinators in all the pro football. And where are they coming from?
Right.
And so I had to go and do what I thought was the right way to get there. I had to go be in this particular room, coach the receivers here to get closer to the quarterback. Coach the running back, get closer to the quarterback. And finally, when I got the opportunity when I went to Oakland as a coordinator and, quarterback coach, that's how it happens. It goes from there, and that's how it worked for me. And that's the way I saw how I was going to make it into the National Football League and how I was going to become a head coach in the National Football League.
Mm-hmm. And definitely a great path you took with all the places that you stopped by. You mentioned all the great players that you coached, and definitely amazing things there. As you listen to players, there's a certain player that you left out of there that I think you coached a while back for at least for a second. I think his name was Andrew Thomas. That I think you coached at UOP. I've heard some good things about him.
Yeah, that's your dad. And man, let me tell you, I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and make you feel good about your dad because I know you already do. But you're talking about your dad's a man's man. He's the real deal. He's highly intelligent, tremendous athlete. We thought he was the most talented athlete on our team. He looked like a brick freaking house. And he was tough. So we really appreciate him. We just, for all people like your dad and so many other great players that played there, we just didn't win enough for some of those guys to have the major opportunities that I think they would have had, and that's what I see now, having traveled, coached so many different places. We had so many good players and athletes too, but we didn't win a lot. People like people that win, and I get it. I understand, we want to win more so than we do lose. So it was a great time with a bunch of great men, but your dad was one of my favorites.
The way he tells stories, I would have thought he was going to win the Heisman with the how he brags about his season. I need a funny story. I need a funny story.
There's nothing wrong with him telling those good stories.
I need a funny story from you, Coach. But was you have any memories of coaching him back in the day?
Oh my gosh! I mean, your dad was the type of person that you only had to tell him once, and he hated messing up. If it's something that didn't go right with him, it didn't sit right with him. Okay. He wanted to correct it again right there on the spot. Well, sometimes you can't go just run the same play all over again.
Right.
The other team knows, And so I never forget one time, I don't know if he remembered this, we called a play to try to get him the ball another time. Because again, we thought it was one of our most talented guys. It's almost like the same play, and he got whacked.
Oh
no. At all. And everybody's looking at me like, Hugh, that's your fault for throwing him the ball. Nah, my fault.
Man, well, that's great to hear. I'm going to hear about that all day long now after this episode drops. But I definitely appreciate that. So, that's really all I have. Alec, you have anything else you want to go to real quick?
Yeah, just where your personal focus is now, your future plans, coaching-wise.
Well, I want to go back and coach. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that's what I'm passionate about. That's what I love to do. And like I said, for minority coaches, it's hard. I'm not here. I'm not coming on you guys' show to tell my story or anything like that. But when you look at it, when you're a minority coach and you're a head coach, and let's say you get let go, okay, where do you go? Where's the next spot? I was fortunate enough when I got let go at Oakland, Marvin Lewis was the head coach. So he just brought me back home. But I had to coach on defense. There was no spot for me on offense. And so I went back over to offense and worked my way back up and went on and did it. And right today, Marvin's not a head coach in this league. He's the defensive coordinator at Arizona State. So I'm sitting at home because you normally work for people who know you well and people you trust. And so that's the unfortunate part of being a minority, in my opinion. And if it doesn't go right, where do you go? And people should know what you've done, but it doesn't happen that way all the time. So right now, after 33 years of coaching, I've gotten involved in tequila. I have a tequila business with my partner. Yeah, he owns the company, and he's the only Black tequila owner in the world. Oh, wow. And so we own this brand, and we're doing some great things with it. Matter of fact, we got some exciting things that will be announced here in the next couple of weeks. I'm sure people get excited about that. I've been involved in hemp. We grow fields in Vermont. They're organic fields in Vermont. My foundation, we're kind of transitioning over to strangers, the changers, people that have done strange things, quit being a stranger with each other and make change in the world. So I'm very excited about that. I think we're going to do some great things in that space. And then just want to get back to football. And I know people say, well, wait a minute, now you got tequila and hemp. You don't need to go do football. Yeah, you do, because you gotta have some good tequila. And then obviously the hemp, that's about your life. That's trying to improve your body and
Right.
stay as long in this world as you can. You do as much of that as you can. And then get back to something I know, which is football, like the back of my hand. But it's been a fun ride, up to this point. And there's some disappointments, but there's been some great times too. And you just find a way. I think the lesson in all this is you keep going.
Mm-hmm.
You never stop. A lot of people, well, I'm gonna call it career. I still want to win a Super Bowl. I want to stand on that podium with a Super Bowl team and a trophy and say, did it, because that was always the goal. So I'm not gonna back down from that one. I'm gonna find a way to get that one done.
Yeah. Well, we're rooting for everybody black, so we're definitely rooting for you for sure.
Definitely rooting for you, Coach.
Thank you.
And yeah, we definitely appreciate you for coming on. And yeah, that's for you guys all watching. Thank you guys for watching. That's another episode of Section.300. I'm your host, Just Say G, alongside Alec Foster. Follow us online, like, rate, review, subscribe, wherever you guys find us. And we thank you guys so much for watching. And we'll see you guys again soon. Thank y'all. Peace.
Take care, man.
Thank you, Coach.
All righty.